everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me. Can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it, and I must suffer if I lose it. Give account if I abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. Well, welcome to the Jolly Good News Report, coming to you from Washington, D.C., in my new studio that we put together over the last week. We've tried to upgrade the look, the sound, everything to be more appealing to you wherever you might be all over the globe. People have been tuning in. I'm amazed. I'm now that's the real word. Amazed, shocked and amazed at the impact and a response of this Jolly Good News Report to reach out to people who are tired of all the bad news and they just need some good news for their spirit, for their soul, for their their body, just to help them through and make this all better. So that's what we're doing. We're giving you some good news. And you know, the Bible says in Proverbs that good news is like good medicine for your spirit. And I love what Maya Angelou said. She said, good news is like starch for your spine. Good words are like starch for your spine. So, I'm ready for my spine to be inspired and uplifted. And are you ready? Well, I want to thank everybody for sharing this with all their friends and family members and everybody who has made this something that they are excited about, because I'm excited about the fact that you're excited about it. Now, I want to start with a story that I love that will really be in line with what I'm going to talk about today. And it's a little story that I've told in my speeches over the years just to talk about attitude, positive attitude, and how sometimes you've got to change your attitude if things are not going quite the way you want them to go, that you planned for them to go. You've got to do a shift. So there's this little boy who is excited about baseball. And one day he gets his little baseball cap and his glove and his ball and his bat, and he says he's going outside to the backyard and he's going to show the world that he is the best. He said, I'm the best hitter ever, and I'm gonna show the world. So he takes the ball and he throws it up in the air. He swings the bat at the ball, but he misses. And then he picks up the ball. He said, "Let me try it again." He throws the ball and he swings at the ball, but he misses. And he does it a number more times. He says, "Okay, I'm not the best hitter. I'm the best pitcher. I'm the best pitcher. I can't even hit my own pitches." And so the moral of the story, or the lesson, is that sometimes you got to pivot. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how you've got to shift and pivot and have the faith and the positive attitude to go with the pivot. Now, for those who might be their first time joining us, this is our sixth, no, this is our fifth week of being in operation as the Jolly Good News Report. Before this, we were doing other things on Saturday morning because we were all out and about and enjoying life and doing what we're doing. But now many of us are in quarantine. We're isolated. We're at home. And so I started doing Saturday morning programming to give people some good news, because I said it's time for people to get some good news in the midst of all of this bad news. So we created the Jolly Good News Report here every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. I decided to just do it. You know, we have Monday night, have Happily Married Monday with the Jollies for married couples. And then on Thursday, we put out our newsletter, that every week I put out a newsletter. And then Monday through Friday on Get Up Morning with Erica Campbell on the Get Up Morning with Erica Campbell show. I do my Wake Up and Win messages. And every morning now, we've been starting to do 1-minute video messages that I send out on my email and on YouTube. So I still said there was more. And then I did my song, We'll Get Through This. I hope you've all enjoyed that song. Les Brown called me and blessed me. He said, Willie, I can't stop listening to this song. I listen to it every morning when I get up and every night when I go to bed, and it lifts my spirits. He said, "Thank you for releasing that song." So I said, I give God the glory for that. And so we got the song, we got the morning show across America, syndicated radio. We got my XM show on Saturday at 4 o'clock. It replays Monday morning at 8, Tuesday evening at 6, Wednesday morning at 11. Thursday is a newsletter, and we needed something on Saturdays. So now we got Saturdays. And Sunday, I give God glory and go to church online, but I'm going to church. And so let me tell you about those who have missed some of the earlier shows, what we've talked about. Now, the first week we talked about Viktor Frankl and his amazing story from Man's Search for Meaning, how in 1942 he was a well-known Austrian neurologist, and the Nazis came and took him and his family away from their home and took him to a concentration camp. And over the next 3 years, he went through one ordeal after another. And in that process, his wife was killed, his parents were killed, he lost everything. But he said they could take everything but the last human freedom, my choice and ability to choose my attitude. That's good. That's good news. And so we talked about that. Now, the first week we were on, starting the first week, I decided to give you good news in terms of statistics. Because when you look at the news on television, they always start with here's how many coronavirus crisis cases there are, and then they tell you how many deaths. You will not hear either one of those here on the Jolly Good News Report. I'm only going to focus on how many people recovered. Now, the first week it was about 150,000 people around the world. The second week was about 270,000. And third week, 380,000. And fourth week, it was 490,000. Fifth week, it was almost 590. Almost 590,000. This is the fifth week. Let me tell you what the numbers are as of today recovered. Woo! This is awesome. We got almost 800,000 people around the globe who have recovered and are home with their families from this coronavirus. Bravo. Whew, what good news. What good news. That's good news. That's good news. 800,000, almost 800,000. And on an average, there are about 15,000 people now who are recovering every day. 15,000 people are recovering every day. So that's good news. That is good news. It's good news. So we're excited about that. So first week we talked about Viktor Frankl, and we talked about the NBA players who were paying some of the staff at the arenas. That was good news. Second week we talked about the fact that it's about mindset, and we talked about that you've got to have a mindset. And I shared stories from my jollygoodnews.org website, which is where I have my cancer thrivers and survivors audio from my Sirius XM show of two people I interviewed. One had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, one had stage 4 throat cancer. I interviewed them and they talked individually. They didn't meet each other, they weren't on the same time. They were different interviews. They'd never seen or heard or talked to each other, but they shared almost identical stories of how beyond the medication and the doctor's visits, how they both were able to beat stage 4 cancer. And they have gone on to continue to beat it. I talked to one, Debbie Spanvini, who is now 14 years cancer-free after beating stage 4 pancreatic, and then Herb Tillery, who has, I think he's about 12 years since he's beaten stage 4 throat cancer. Amazing interviews. If you got people who are struggling with cancer or just with illness, they should hear that interview. Go to jollygoodnews.org, absolutely free, and share it and listen to it and be blessed by it. So the third week, we talked about the fact that you must get a different mindset. You must not just go through it. You must not just go through it, but you must grow through it and must not panic, but pivot. And I shared the story of my daughter, who is a cosmetologist in North Carolina. She has a business, an entrepreneur, and makeup expert. She does makeup for folks and big events, and she's got a thriving business, but it's all come to a grinding halt with the crisis. Well, she also can cook, so she decided to listen to dad and pivot and be positive and proactive. And as a result, she cooks meals where she cooks a bunch of meals. She puts them in containers. She puts it on, well, she has put it up on Facebook that she's going to be cooking these meals. People order and say, I want a meal. They pay her over the phone on Cash App. And then when it's done, she puts the meals in the car. She takes a little ride around and she drops them off people's door and call them and say, your meal's outside. They come out. She's gone to the next one. She's making money. I said, that's brilliant. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. I love it. So pivot, be positive, and be proactive. All right. The next week, we talked about the story of Joseph. Joseph from the Bible. What a great story, a comeback story. It's in my book, A Setback Set Up for a Comeback. And it's one of my favorite stories, how Joseph turned his setbacks, not one setback, setbacks into comeback. Started with him as a teenager. He was his father's favorite son at that point, because that was before his youngest brother was even born. And he had a coat of many colors. And his brothers were jealous of him and threw him in a pit. And rather than kill him, they decided to sell him into servanthood. He went to Potiphar's house as a servant, but he was excellent. He always pursued excellence, had a positive attitude, and gave more than he was expected to give and did more than he was expected to do. He quickly rose up to Potiphar's second in charge and direct assistant. But then Mrs. Potiphar had other plans. She saw this young, strapping, good-looking guy, and she wanted some action. And he said, no, I can't do that. And she got mad at him and accused him of something he didn't do, and they threw him into jail. But even with that setback, he stayed positive and became a positive person in the jail. But then Pharaoh needed someone who could interpret dreams, and they remembered Joseph and brought him out. He interpreted Pharaoh's dreams that you're going to have 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. God preparing for the famine while you got plenty. There's a lesson in there for all of us. Now, we're in the midst of a crisis right now, and that crisis is that we have a famine. We will get through this. That's the one thing. The song is right. We'll get through this. This will pass. It might be rough. It might be a little tough, but we will get through it. Now, here's the lesson from the life of Joseph. Be excellent. Pursue excellence. Get a reputation for excellence. And build a business that people want your services. They will pay you. When you're doing well, when we get back on the other side of this and you're prospering and making money, always put some away for that tough day. Because here's what I've learned, that just about every decade, every 10 years, just about every 10 years, there's a crisis. 9/11. Then some years, in the next few years, 6, 7, 8 years later, the economic crisis. And then 11 years later, the coronavirus crisis. You live long enough, there'll be another crisis. So prepare for the next crisis when we get out of this, because it is going to come. I don't know what it's going to be. None of us know what it's going to be, but we know that history has taught us it comes just about every decade. There's something that disrupts and gets us a little off track. So Joseph taught us that, and he went from the pit to the prison to the palace. And when he got to Pharaoh's palace, he became number 2. And as a result of that, when the famine came, his brothers back at homeland needed food, and they came to Egypt saying, maybe we can talk to whoever's in charge, only to find out it was their brother. And he saved the whole family because he was in charge. See, that setback was a setup for a comeback, and it saved his whole lineage, his whole family. Well, and that was great. Now this week we're gonna talk. Oh no, next week, the following week, we talked about. Well, this is the 6th week. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th week. I thought it was the 5th week. It's the 6th week I've been doing this. This is great. Okay. So last week we talked about the people who've recovered from coronavirus. The 100-year-old man, 104-year-old man who had been born during the time of the Spanish flu, and then he got through World War War I. He got through World War II, where he actually served in World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. He lived through all of the turmoil of the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And then he gets hit with coronavirus when he's 104 years old, and he beats it. And that is such good news. We talked about the 81-year-old lady who was told when she got coronavirus, they said she's 81. She said, let me tell y'all something. I'm going to beat this with my positive attitude. I'm going to beat this. And everybody in her family said, whatever she tell you, don't give up on her. And she was on a ventilator for 16 days. They said, we don't know. They said, you just wait. She's coming back. She's a comeback kid. She came back. And she said, I told you, have a positive attitude. Look, folks, people with positive attitudes beat the odds over and over and over again. That's why we got good news, good news, good news, good news. So we talked about a lot of good news last week. This week I've got a great time, a great message for you. As I said, we are at, let's see, in a few minutes since we've talked. Woo-wee, yep, it's gone up again. It's gone up again in a few minutes. I'm looking at the World Health Organization statistics, and we almost right up to 800,000. It's coming. I mean, we rolling on. This is going good. Now, let's see what I have to tell you about today. Well, I had a message for you today that one of my favorite stories, and this one has so many lessons in it about how to take a setback and turn it into a great comeback, and a couple lessons about your proactivity that help this. This is a story from the Bible about the widow woman with the two sons and a little bit of oil. Now, here's what happened. It's in 2 Kings, 4th chapter, and I'm going to read it from the Message version. I want to read it so you get to hear it. You can read it from New King James Version, whatever version you like, but I recommend you go to 2 Kings, 4th chapter. Here's what it says. One day, the wife of a man who was a guild of prophets called out to Elijah. Now, the guild of prophets means he was a well-known man of the ministry in his town, and the wife called out to Elijah, the prophet. Elijah said, your servant, my husband, has died, is dead now. You know well that this was a good man. He was devoted to the Lord. He had a great reputation. He was a godly man. And now he has debt. And the man to whom he is in debt is on his way to collect the debt, and said, if we don't have the money, he's going to take my two sons as slaves. She said, help. And Elijah said, well, how can I be of help? Tell me what you have in the house. She said, I got nothing in the house. Nothing, she said. I have nothing. He said, nothing. Well, I do have a little bit of oil. Some call it olive oil, cooking oil, whatever. It was oil. When Elijah said, here's what you do. Go up and down the street and borrow jugs and bowls and containers and jars from all your neighbors. Not just a few. Get all you can get. Get every single solitary one you can get. Ask them to beg them for it. Get everyone. Then come home and lock the door behind you, you and your sons. Pour oil into each container. When each is full, set it aside. She did what he said. She locked the door behind her and her sons, with her and her sons, and they bought the containers. Each son would bring a container to her, and as they brought them, she kept filling them up. All the jugs, all the bowls, all the containers, all the jars. She said to her, each one, come on, keep bringing them. They kept bringing them, keep bringing them, and they kept bringing them. She'd put them aside, and more and more and more. And finally, she said, bring me another one. They said, there are no more. We're out of jugs. And as soon as they said there were no more jugs, the oil ceased to pour. She went and told the story to Elisha, the man of God. And he said, good. Now go sell the oil and make good on your debts. Pay off the debts to the guy so you can keep your sons. And you live, both in you and your son, on what's left after you've paid off your debt. Now here's the lessons. Great lessons. One, she didn't think she had anything. But he told her, you got something. You've got oil, a little bit of oil. That's all you need, is a little bit of something to be able to make it. And she took what she had with a positive attitude and faith and good came from it. And they filled up all of these containers and jugs and bowls. Then he said, now go sell what you have. Go sell the oil. Now she had to go to work then. She couldn't just have the oil do nothing. She had to go to work. She had to sell what she had. And there's a lesson in here. My daughter's selling dinners. I'm selling my motivation now online. Companies are calling me now saying, we want you to come speak for our folks, but not personally, physically. Can you do it online? Yes, I can do it online. Can you do virtual events for us? Yes, I can do virtual. I've been doing them, a lot of them recently. Can you come and inspire our people and motivate them and get them focused and get them performing well? Yes, and we've been doing that all over with companies. Every week I'm doing more and more and more of these online seminars and keynotes and events, and people are excited about them. And then we're selling sponsorships to our friends and say, hey, look, sponsor my radio show. If you want a positive show to be a part of on XM or my daily radio show on Get Up Morning with Erica Campbell. And even we're going to be having sponsors for this Jolly Good News Report. People who want to be connected. If you're interested in being connected, well, let me know. Because we want to connect you and talk about the good news that you're bringing and your commitment to impact people, not with bad news, but with good news. Because the more sponsors, the more people we can get access to, the more places we can put it, the more ads we can put out, the more we can talk about it. So we got to sell it, though. That's what I want you to know. What is it that you've got? In the Bible, another story, Moses, when he was at the Red Sea. And he said, what do I do now, God? The Egyptians are on my back. The water's in front of me. What do I do? And God said, what's in your hand? He said, a stick. He said, use what's in your hand. And he put it out. The water opened up. Here's the lesson. Use what you got in your hand. My friend Natalie Green, I'll give you another story. Natalie used to work for me, and we're dear friends. She's like a sister. And now she's got an eBay business because she said, I need to generate more money. So she had stuff that she wasn't using, clothes and shoes and hats and stuff in her house. And she started selling it on eBay. She has a thriving eBay business. She's selling stuff all over the world to people via eBay. Wow. Use what's in your hand. What's in my hand? I'm a comeback king. That's from Success Magazine. What was in my hand when I got fired from my job as a nightclub singer was I was able to not be afraid of being in front of audiences because I've been a nightclub singer, I've been an entertainer. And I got a job with the school system, and as part of my job, I was encouraged to give speeches. Some of the other employees were afraid of getting in front of audiences, but I've been doing that all my life. So I took what I had in my hand, my ability to entertain, developed some content that was about drug prevention, violence prevention, scholastic achievement, and making wise choices for young people, and started giving speeches. And within a year, by using what I had in my hand, I was able to leave that job and start a full-time speaking business. And now, good news. Not quite 30 years, but 30 years next year. I've traveled all over the world, written best-selling books, got television and radio, been named one of the top 5 speakers in the world, have a Hall of Fame inductee because I use what's in my hand. I'm encouraging you. Use what's in your hand. You got something. Some of you got some gifts that you don't even imagine. You can't even imagine. You got great gifts, great skills, great abilities that you don't even know. Sometimes it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. But ask somebody around you, what do you see in me? What is it about me that you notice about me? What can I do well? Like my wife, my wife is a great organizer. My wife is one of the most organized people I've ever met. She's awesome. And so I told her one day, you need to be doing more of your organization. She started a company called Back Office Boss. People are hiring her for her back office expertise. I'm telling you, use what's in your hand. Use what God has gifted you. Look, it's not if you are smart, it's how are you smart. Everybody got some genius. Everybody got some genius. You just got to use what's in your hand. Wow. I'm so excited about what's going to come from your using what's in your hand. I'm so excited about the great things that are going to happen, the good news stories you're going to share. I'm so excited about the future for you. I'm excited. I'll tell you another good news story is my friend Esther Eagles. Now, Esther has one of the most iconic speakers bureaus in America. Her husband Gil was a, was one of the for many years one of the leading speakers in America. He's a mentalist and he does all sorts of great events and activities with mental telepathy kind of thing. And he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. He's in the Hall of Fame and he's just phenomenal. Well, he's been ill, and she and he's retired. She's still running the bureau, but he's semi-retired, and he's been ill. And so one of their nieces called and said, "We want to bless you and Uncle Gil, Aunt Esther. We're gonna be shopping for you because we don't want you going out because his immune system is compromised." And she was telling me this story because we're doing more events with her bureau, online events. And she said, they won't let me shop. My nieces, they call and get my list. I said, you don't have to do that. They said, we got to do it. We got to do it. And she said, we have to do it. And they have given us groceries every week, leave them at the door. And when he had his last treatment for this illness, she said they had signs waiting outside the hospital door. They said, we'll stay at a distance, but congratulations. There's a winner. There's a winner. And what a great, she said it just blessed them so and lifted their spirits. And you know what? I don't know what we can do to bless others, but we can do something. We can help others during this time. I'm doing all I can think to do. Television with these online video spots, radio. I've got a new book I'm putting out that's going to be ready first week of March, the ebook, well, probably second week of March, ebook. I've got the song that I put out. We got even more songs. We got a one-man show I'm going to release. I'm talking to some television outlets to release this one-man show, a setback and set up for a comeback that I did a couple years ago. I got so much good stuff inside of me that I want to get out of me because I want to give good news. I want you to give good news. Do all you can with all you can, wherever all you can, buy all you can. Because what we do is going to make a difference. So I want to thank you for sharing this with everybody. Again, if you want to be a blessing to me, you can be a sponsor. Or you can just make a donation so we can do more of what we're doing on our jollygoodnews.org site. You want to just make a donation, I don't care what it is, but my goal is to continue to do good. Get my setback set up for a comeback book into prisons so people who are in prison will know that their past does not equal their future and they can come out better. Get my youth motivational DVD into schools so our young people won't go to prison in the first place. And then we make a donation from our donations to the Smithsonian Museum of African American History because it's had such a profound impact on so many people's lives to see what was the contributions of a people who many times were not thought to have great contribution. But then when you go there, you'll see, wow. And it's blessed me to be able to be a contributor. And so I've now made a commitment that we're going to continue to make donations to that. So we're going to just bless people as we see fit. Maybe some scholarships and schools are back, and we're going to do more things. I want to bless more people because God has blessed me and he has blessed you. How do I know? Because you're watching this show right now. And if you're watching this show, you're still in the land of the living. You're still in the land of the living. You're blessed. Amen. So my time is just about up for this week. And I want to thank you again. Let's see. Oh, I got one more story, and then I'll share it real quick as we leave. Good news story. It's the sisters who began a cheesecake business during a government shutdown. And so here it is. There were two sisters who were furloughed when the government shut down. Their names were Nikki Howard and Jackie Wright. and they created a business during that furlough called the furlough cheesecake business just to get them through. They used what was in their hand. The mom taught them how to make cheesecake. So they used this business to learn how, not to learn, to take what they had learned from their mom and make some cheesecake. They put it out in their neighborhood. They put it on Facebook. Well, people started saying, oh, these are the best cheesecakes we ever had. And so they kept selling the cheesecakes. Well, a lot of the TV shows started putting up, airing them, and then some of the national shows. And then a lady said, you know what? I'm gonna reach out to these sisters. She reached out to them, said, I'm a business coach and business consultant, but I don't want to take your money. I just want to help you because I see you've been in this shutdown. You've been proactive. You pivoted. I know somebody at Walmart. She connected them to Walmart, and they got their cheesecakes in Walmart. And it took off. Well, here's the base side of the story. I love this. They said, don't be afraid to take a leap of faith. Fear could have kept us waiting for the government to make up their mind about our pay. But when we realized that we had something special, we had a gift, we decided to just go for it. At some point, you just have to step out on faith and believe in yourself and go for it. Well, the shutdown ended. They went back to work for about 30 days, and they were so busy with the cheesecake factory, the cheesecake business, that they said, you know what? Here's just love this. They worked. One worked at the Department of Justice. The other one worked at Food and Drug Administration. They returned to their posts at their job briefly, but with the success of the business, they decided we're going to furlough the government. And they furloughed the government and left. And now they're full time. What a great story. So, look, good news. Keep sharing the good news. Thank you for joining me. If you like this, send me an email, info@williejolly.com. Say, hey, I really like that. I've shared it with my friends. I am encouraged by your emails. I'm inspired by your email. When you say it worked, it was good for somebody to be encouraged and inspired. That's why I do this. Let me know. I appreciate it. Info@williejolly.com. Continue to share this with your friends, your family members. Blow it up. And I want to thank you with all my heart. And remember, your best is yet to come. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Jolly Good News Report for April 25th, 2020. Have a great day. And remember, your best truly is yet to come. Keep the good news going. Have a great day. God bless.